starting to look for their, people were starting to look for the draft report, final one that you posted a couple hours ago, just so we could be on the same page before any discussion or motions.
Okay, 1 second. Let me.
If I can get the ability to share, I can display it on
Oh,
screen for
yeah, let me
everybody.
give that to you.
Take your time and get acclimated, Madam Chair.
And there were some things that were going to be needed to be added on the fly, and you should be able to now, Mr. Secretary.
Okay.
As notice was given on the list. One of those was by, I believe, Mr. Brayman, who pointed out a bylaw that we might not technically be in compliance with in that one plank, in which we divided one plank into 2 planks. I think an argument can be had either way, but I would rather not have any arguments on the floor. So bringing us into technical compliance with that bylaw was something I said also we would deal with. The proposed changes to the report, I accepted most of them, but the ones I did not, I would consider as having been given notice of. If anyone, wishes to debate the ones I didn't accept, which were few. I would like to take one moment, if the committee doesn't object, and please object verbally if you do, just to give some comments that I would have given during the public comment section. As I've said, I'm not going to be scheduling any more meetings except for possibly a town hall. Members, though, are free to do so. Because we've had multiple members of this committee, that 3 of them who one of them has shown up to 1 meeting, the other 2 have shown up to no meetings. I think it would be very difficult to get the required number of people to just like sponsor a meeting. So my advice to you guys, if you want to set a meeting, just do an email motion for it, because it's relatively easy to get 3 other people to agree with you. An email motion only requires 4 people, and you need to give 5 days notice for a meeting anyway. So let's just say you guys wanted a meeting next week and you have 3 other people to agree with you. Just do an email motion to set a meeting that's at least 5 days away from it would have to be from the expiration though of the email. So that could take a bit of a longer time. I'm just giving you another option in case you have trouble getting the requisite number of sponsors. Also, while it will technically be in order to add, delete, change at the Reno meeting, I cannot stop you from doing that. I would highly suggest against it for this reason. It's a combination town hall and platform committee meeting. The platform committee meeting part will come first. It's possible for us to eat up the entire time and disappoint members. And if there are any additions made at that time, I can tell you, I'm not going to the midnight copier to make copies of a supplemental report and distributing it to the delegates' chairs at midnight. That will be the responsibility of whoever makes that motion. And also in the past, there's been a struggle with National over who pays for the costs of copies of things that are submitted after the report deadline. The same thing's going to hold true for anything passed after the Convention Oversight Committee tells me they can't stick it in the booklet, because I cannot be at midnight distributing things on delegate chairs, and that's what's going to be happening, or 6 in the morning or whatever it might be. If anything passes or changes since our committee report, and that includes minority reports, which you don't need to pass, you only need people to sign, and it can't be in the printed booklet, whoever makes that motion needs to take responsibility for making sure copies are made. I'll help you submit the receipt to National. Can't guarantee they're going to pay for it. They haven't. That's been an ongoing dispute with National. And you're going to need to distribute it to the delegate tables first thing in the morning, before opening gavel. So I just wanted to make that clear, because I've had several committee members ask me about the procedure, and I've had multiple members outside the committee ask me about the procedure in case they were wanting to ask a committee member to make a motion on their behalf. Right now, the bylaws committee hasn't submitted their report. So, you know, if you got anybody tonight wanted to make a motion to have another meeting next week, I would think that would be in order, because they want to add something and they want to get it slid in before the committee. So it'll be in the printed booklet. I would consider those motions to set another meeting in order, since I've already said I will not be unilaterally doing that. Okay, do you have, Mr. Secretary, at least the agenda that was distributed up? It's right there.
Miss Harlos.
Yes, Mr. Choco.
Before we move on, I have a couple of questions that I think would kind of apply to what you just said there.
Sure.
In public comment. So first is a Libertarian Party member in my state contacted me today and asked me to put to bring a proposal to the committee. What would be the fastest way for me to have a realistic shot of pulling that off? Is it email ballot?
I would suggest you either make a motion tonight to meet next week for the limited purpose of considering your proposal, and I would give them the basic substance of your proposal so they can make an informed choice, or I would do an email ballot. Those are the two ways that I think would get it done so that it could be in the printed report. Get it done or not done. That would be in the printed report.
And if I made a motion to schedule a meeting and that motion failed, I can still go to email ballot.
Yes,
for
you
the
can.
proposal, right? Okay. All right. And then my other question, I think you've talked about this, but I want to make sure I understand it. Which proposals in our report do you not feel comfortable arguing for at convention?
I'm comfortable with every single one of them.
Okay, so your plan is to handle all of them then?
Yes, there was just one that we were considering at one point, but it didn't pass the committee, in which I
Okay.
said I would not be able to argue it about a month ago, but that proposal did not pass the committee.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And just so far, there are no minority reports. Unfortunately, I did have to rule an attempt at a minority report out of order on the list. And again, the committee can overrule me, but I'll tell you just honestly, the convention chair will rule it out of order because it's just incorrect. You can't have a minority report without a corresponding quote unquote majority report, because it has to be instead of that, this. And if there's no that, you can't have an instead of. And that is on the plank that we rescinded that dealt with the military and I think y'all remember, Mr. Seebeck's not here, but it was the one that was sponsored by Mr. Seebeck that he argued very passionately for. If we had touched that plank at all in our report in any other way, a minority report, even if it added that additional language, would be in order, but we didn't touch that plank. Anyone else who's considering other proposals, I would suggest that you check to see if we touched the plank in question, even if it isn't the language that you're considering, because you then potentially can consider making it a minority report. I would consider it in order. It's possible someone could raise an objection from the floor that it was a sneaky way to sneak in a proposal that the committee never heard. I don't even know if anyone would want to do that from the floor, because it would kind of be a big, I don't want to call it a time waster, but we'd say the time user. But I just let you know, traditionally, this committee has allowed that. So I would consider that in order, because I have no idea of all the suggestions that people might be considering in their mind. Okay, so the first thing I would like to do before we go to B, if there's no objection to the committee, and if there is objection from the committee, and this may be another way for you to get your way, Mr. Cholko, because I do consider Mr. Brayman's bringing it up on the list to be proper notice. If the committee disagrees and thinks there wasn't proper notice, then I will be setting another meeting in 5 days to deal with this. And that is the proposal that split plank 3.4 into 2 planks. I believe in order to be in technical compliance with the bylaws, we need to revote on 2.8. Because 3.4 was the plank that was split. So there was already the vote on 3.4, but I think to be in technical compliance with the bylaws, we need to reapprove 2.8, and I would like to do that now. Yeah, we do have a quorum. I'd like to do that now, if there is no objection to handling that now by the committee.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Ruggiero.
so how do you want to phrase the question?
The way I would phrase the question is with the preface that according to our bylaws, there's a possibility that our vote on 2.8 was illegal. So I am going to, as chair, remove, move, not remove as in get rid of, move that proposal. So the motion would have that preface to it and go accordingly. I move the adoption of 2.8, whatever the language was. We can pull up the report to look at it.
Okay, I have it. Chair moves to revote. Oh, moves to
Or reaffirm the committee's support for proposal 2.8. There's multiple ways we can word it. It just needs to, I tend to think we're fine as it is, but I like things to be as bulletproof as possible. Mr. Brayman.
Yeah, I just want to double check. Is there any plan that this would actually change the report? Or is this just a bit of cleanup in our minutes?
There is a chance it could mess up our entire report if you guys don't vote for it, which you have every right not to do. It's almost like a reconsideration.
But if we
Which is
vote,
why I'm the only one who can really make the motion.
okay, but if we vote in favor of this,
Nothing changes.
it isn't actually going to change the report at all.
Nope, it'll just have me put in the vote totals from today up in the header. As you notice in the report, it says vote totals.
Okay.
So that's the motion on the floor. If you could please pull up though so I believe that is proposal G.
You got them to
Oh, derp.
16.
7 or
16.
16.
16.
16, yes,
Okay, 7 and 16 are both 2.8.
right.
Okay, proposal 16.
It's 16.
Okay, coming up. Okay, that's 10. 13. So this is going to be 14, 15, 16. Yes.
Okay, so on 2.8, we had already struck the phrase economic freedom demands the unrestricted movement of human as well as financial capital services across borders. We had already struck that from 3.4. What this vote would be is to reaffirm or revote on adding this phrase to 2.8. Economic freedom demands the unrestricted movement of goods, labor, and capital across international borders. It was moving the whole appearance of us being in favor of like human trafficking and putting it in a plank. I'm just the original arguments of where it belongs. Mr. Brayman, did you intend to keep your hand up?
No, sorry, that should be down. Sorry.
Okay. Is there, Mr. Thompson?
Yeah, just for clarity's sake, so we're having a second vote on this. Just we need to have a specific vote about adding to 2.8 that we're removing from the former 3.4.
Yes.
So we couldn't have we could put it in one, but it has to be distinct because it's two distinct planks. Is that,
I personally think our original vote was fine, but I
Okay.
think a credible argument could be made that it's not. Like, I could argue both sides, and I would prefer not to have someone raise this. Not that I think anyone would. I just prefer, when I see a possible pitfall, to avoid it.
yeah, and I'm just asking a question for my own notification for future committee actions, if not now, in a future committee where if there's a sentence in one plank's better in another plank, we would have to do two proposals to move it, not a single proposal. And that's what I'm-
We'd have to do two different votes that we could combine into one proposal for the convention. Remember, this is a national specific thing. This isn't a Roberts thing. This
Okay.
is because of a provision in the national bylaws.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Mr. Taylor.
Real fast, my understanding about this motion is that we want to basically get a second recount so that we can display the count at the top of the proposal here. And I might make the suggestion that if we do that, then we also keep the other tally as it was before. And the reason for that is because suppose some members of the delegation look at our report and they say, well, wait a minute, this report passed 1200 or something like that. It's likely to pass. Why didn't they put it very high up in the report? Instead of putting it down where it currently is. So it kind of gives it more context if we keep both, I think, tallies there. Just FYI.
Yes, I do intend to keep everything that's there already and also then add this date. The reason I put the dates with the vote totals is so that any member who is interested, because all of the minutes will be posted on the LPDA page, by the time of the convention can go look at the minutes for themselves. Okay, so I'm going to ask, is there any objection to basically reaffirming our prior adoption of the amendment to 2.8? Hearing none, that passes without objection. Now, where we are at on the agenda is the approval, or obviously amendments are in order, but leading to the eventual approval of the draft report. The latest draft I made was 5. There's a bunch of highlights in it. Those highlights will not be in the final report. They were put in there to show some substantive changes I made since version 1. Reason I chose highlights instead of track changes. For some reason, when you move between Google Documents and Word on a Mac with track changes never go away. You can say you've turned them off. You can say you accepted them, but they start reappearing at the most inopportune times, like in the printing of the report in the booklet. There will be a stray track change shown on there. So that is why I am not using them in any of my documents, because I had this happen in a convention booklet because of this, of some proposed convention rules that got printed, because all of a sudden all the track changes appeared again. It's a weird fluke between moving things between Google Drive and Mac's version of Word. So just to explain why I was like so weird about track changes. So what I would like to do, unless someone has a different idea, I'd like to quickly just move through each proposal and either hopefully hear amendments, and then once we dispose of them, maybe and then vote on adopting that section, move to the next section. Hopefully a lot of them will be without objection. Of course, it doesn't have to be, and we can move through this quickly. If we adopt the report tonight, this is our last scheduled meeting. If we don't, I'll be seeing you again on Thursday. Is that procedure acceptable to the committee?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Ricuro.
Could you ask if there's anything specifically that anyone wants to see, because we've had time to review this and I've looked at it today and I'm in order, minus the one thing that Miss Cliff just brought up.
Actually, no, because there were things in each section or almost every section, which there might have been a minor suggestion on, which I did not make. And I personally would feel more comfortable as chair, going as I suggested. But Mr. Ricuro, you have every right to say, this is, I haven't made a formal motion. I will give you, if you wanted to make the motion to do it the way you suggested, priority of motion and call upon you first, and the committee can vote on that. And if it votes your suggestion down, I'll then make my proposal to go the way I suggested. If you intend upon making that motion, Mr. Ricuro, I'll subvert my, yeah, subvert's the wrong word. I'll make mine under yours.
No, I just want clarification. Are you moving to adopt the draft report, or someone, is that open right now?
I was going to do that. What I basically was doing was to consider the report seriation, which is to go by each distinct section, accept amendments to each section, and then move to adopt the way proposal 1 is worded, then move to proposal 2, do the same process, move to proposal 3, do the same process until we've done it through the entire report, and then make one motion to then adopt the entire report. It's kind of like the way you you adopt a very long resolution. Mr. Brown.
Yes, I don't really like the idea of spending all the time to go through each and every one. So I would like to move to adopt the report as presented.
Okay, we do have a motion on the floor. Obviously, it's with the understanding that I will remove all the highlights, which was for the committee's convenience. There is a motion on the floor to adopt draft 5 of the platform committee report prepared by the committee chair, Mr. Cholko. Mr. Brown, did you need to speak to that first? I'm sorry.
Just briefly, like I mentioned in email, I think that most people are not going to read the rationales on that, but it was important for them to be there for you to present when you get up to present the report to the convention verbally as like the first speech for the particular proposal. So if you're comfortable with that, since you're the one going to present the report, I would say that's just fine. And like I said, I don't think too many people are going to read the rationales in the report.
Okay, then. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Mr. Cholko.
So I don't have anything myself that I want to go over, but for other members of the committee's sake, would an amendment that says we'll adopt the report except for proposal 16, for example, so that we can work on that one individually, would an amendment of that sort be in order?
Yes, it would be. Of course, it would delay submission of the report to the Convention Oversight Committee.
No, I don't mean work on the well, that's interesting too, but I don't mean work on the proposal. I mean, consider the rationales. So basically what I'm trying to do is move this quickly like Mr. Brown has suggested, but I don't want anybody to not get to bring up their concerns here. So I'm trying to find the middle ground way to handle that. You following me?
If you remove, okay, what you can do, and it doesn't require a motion. If, say, later on, the committee decides, and you don't want to delay approval of the report, you want it to go off to the printer, the committee can always later on pass an internal committee resolution requesting the chair to add X argument to proposal X. works. And that would just be a little note to myself that when it wouldn't modify the report, but when I am presenting the report, it would be a direction from the committee to me to include a certain argument that was not in the report as part of the rationale. That would not require a motion.
Okay, well, I mean, thank you for that. But what I really mean is, let's just say that I wanted to discuss the rationale for proposal 16. I intended to do that here at this meeting, and I was going to do it. If we had done this your way, I was going to do it when we got to proposal 16. If I want to still be able to do that, but I don't want to have to go through steps 1 through 15 to get there, is there a way for me to amend Mr. Brown's motion to make that doable?
Yes, your motion would be to adopt the entire report, except for proposal 16, which would be discussed immediately after this vote and approved separately.
Okay, so I'm not going to move anything like that, but I would suggest that anybody that does have anything they want to talk about, please make that motion or put it in the chat and I'll do it for you if you don't want to do it yourself. I want to make sure that we get everything discussed if anybody has anything important to talk about.
Thank you, Mr. Choco. Mr. Secretary.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. I had a question similar to Mr. Choco. Two things came up for me is that there's a couple of things highlighted in yellow. You mentioned something about that. I'm guessing you did that on purpose. Could you explain?
Yes, the things that are highlighted will not be highlighted in the final report. They were put there to show substantive changes I made due to suggestions from the committee between version 1 and the version you're looking at now. I was going to remove the highlights after we had a meeting. The final report will not have any highlights.
Okay, so other than that, Ms. Cliff had made a comment in the chat here that she's not here, and I'm actually seeing a lot of alternates that are not here. Do we need to make a formal motion to amend that, or is that something that if there's like little typos, do you have the latitude to just fix that, Madam Chair?
I would. How the heck did that happen? Hold on, I want to check something because this is directly copied unless, as you can tell, I did that in columns, and anyone who's worked with columns in Word knows that that sometimes can be risky business. I copied that directly from lp.org, where they things that are clearly Scrivener's errors, like the names of committee members. I do believe that I can just fix that. Like if later on I find that I spelled there improperly, the I and the E were reversed, things that don't make substantive changes to the report, missing comma while I'm finalizing it. I think I have the discretion already to do that. And I will fix that, Ms. Cliff, with my deepest apologies. I am trying to figure out how in the heck that happened. I'm going to lp.org to see if this was just a word hiding you in that column somewhere, or if you're not on the page, because if you're not, I want to tell them to fix that.
Madam Chair, I have one more question, and I'll yield the floor. Because now I'm thinking about what Mr. Choco said, and it's got me thinking of the middle ground here for little things like this. Could we amend the motion to say we approve the draft version 5 of the committee report to be sent out by a date certain? This way, it gives us some time.
You can. Yeah. Okay. I want to answer your parliamentary question without debate. I did put myself in line for debate. Yes, you can.
All right. I'm going to think. I guess you have something to say, so I will.
I can put you back in line if you would like after.
Yeah,
Ms. Clift.
I'll put my hand back up. Yeah.
And FYI, Ms. Clift, you are not listed on the LP site. I will talk to them about getting that fixed, and I will fix that on the report. Will everyone look
Okay,
here?
can I talk now?
Well, I was going to be next. And then I'll go to you. I wanted to speak in favor of Mr. Brown's motion, and I wanted to explain, because I've said multiple times, and I didn't get a question on it, on suggestions that were made that I quote unquote did not accept. I can't remember all of them, but they were primarily from one committee member, Star Child. It's just so you guys can find it. And mostly it was changing of wording he'd like that fit his voice, but didn't fit mine. It's very important for me to sound natural and in front of the committee. And if I draw in front of the convention, if I draw a blank, the report is my savior. I look down and just start reading the rationale, but without making it obvious as it's written. People can detect falsity a mile away. I do not talk like Star Child does. And I'm such a prominent figure in the party. People know my quote unquote voice. They know how I express myself, and they'll, I think, could detect a mile away. It's like when people ask me to write things for them, I go, my writing style is so distinctive. Anyone who's getting this will know I wrote this and you didn't. So I just wanted to explain why I didn't accept certain changes. They were stylistic. The other was, in case anyone on the committee wishes to move this, was wherever it says the word state, he wanted it capitalized because he thinks that would clear confusion between like the state of California and the state. I can tell you that in my experience, because we have this argument a lot in Colorado about using the word state or government, capitalized or not, everyone, when they sees the word state who isn't a libertarian, but remember this report is for libertarians, thinks you're talking about the state they live in. I have a t-shirt that says the state sucks. And everyone asks me what's wrong with Colorado. Libertarians never do. So I don't think capitalizing or not capitalizing makes a whit of difference to libertarians, which is who this report is authored to. But in case anyone wanted to make that stylistic change, which makes no difference in how I present the report, to capitalize the word state, please feel free to do so at this time. I found it jarring just in reading it. To me, the point of reading is not to make the reader stop and wonder. That interrupts the flow and they kind of miss the point of the sentence. So that's why I chose not to make that stylistic change, even though it would make no difference in how I presented the report. Ms. Clift.
Well, yes, I wanted to actually echo what Matt Scholkel said a while back, and because we've been sitting here looking at proposal 16, and I just think let's get it out of the way, and then we can move on to approving the whole report, because I think we need to have that change before we go any further.
There was no change, by the way, that Mr. Tolko suggested. He was just thinking that somebody might want to. It was all very hypothetical.
Yeah, I was using proposal 16 as an example.
Right, but I think we needed, but you had said when we put it up, Karen Ann, you had said that we needed to vote on that change to make it official. And let's go ahead and do that.
We did.
When?
About 8 minutes ago.
Okay.
It was without objection.
All right, fine.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Clift. God, I hope y'all just permit me one more tiny interruption. I did get the report to everybody by Saturday afternoon. My promise was by Sunday evening, and I got part of it to you by Friday night. As far as other committee members not being here to review, everyone had the opportunity to review it. That's why we had this meeting today and put comments on the website. I personally, though other committee members can disagree, and not sympathetic to the idea that anyone didn't have a chance to make any suggestion they want. I spent the minute an email came up, I dropped everything else I was doing to read that email and consider the change and send out a new draft. I did that. Any member could have suggested any amount of changes over this 3.5, 3 day period of time. Now, other committee members could feel differently and have other sympathies than I do. Just wanted to put that out there. Ms. Cliff, did you intend to keep your hand up? Well, it's Mr. Ricuro, and we'll see if Ms. Cliff. Thank you, Ms. Cliff. Mr. Secretary.
Yes, so Madam Chair, I have, you've helped me make my mind up. So I don't want to make a motion. In fact, I'm in support of the current motion, and just to help you out a little bit, if you want, in the notes here at the bottom here, I'll show you, I added the current committee roster. So you can copy and paste that if you like, and maybe that'll make life easier for you, or do what you wish. So that's all I have.
Okay, I will make sure that the committee roster is full. My bad for trusting that it was correct on lp.org. Somebody's eyes must have just crossed it. Anyone who's worked with WordPress knows it's very easy to skip a line, but I'll make sure it's corrected if I find any other omissions, because everybody deserves credit on lp.org.
Also, one last thing, Madam Chair, I would say that the reason I'm not going to make the motion is because I trust that you are going to give everybody a final, hey, the report's going to go out today at 12 p.m. or whatever it is. So there's no need to do anything. So,
well, I could tell you that if the report is approved tonight, I am going to immediately remove all of the highlights, put it in final form, and send it to the convention committee tonight, because they have told me every passing day has the possibility of costing the party money. And I don't want to do that. I feel it's our responsibility that once we've approved it, to get it in their hands.
All right. Well, again, my hands down. I'm in favor. Let's send it.
Would anyone else like to speak? So I'll ask, is there any objection to Mr. Brown's motion? Okay, seeing none, then version 5 is approved as the committee report. Tonight, I will take out the highlights, change the file name from V5 to final, and PDF it and send it over to the Convention Oversight Committee. And I will put a confirmation on the platform list when it's done, with an attached copy of the PDF for you guys to distribute amongst your own peer groups. And unless there are any further motions that are in orders of the day will be to adjourn. But in case Mr. Choco or anyone else wanted to make a motion for another meeting, I wanted to give opportunity for that. Mr. Choco.
So I will move that we schedule another meeting. What is it, 7 days from today?
5 days is the amount of notice required for a meeting.
Okay, so then 5 days from today. So next Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time, for the purpose of considering a motion that I will put forth on behalf of a Virginia Libertarian. Should I state what that motion is at this time?
You should. You don't have to have the exact motion.
I think I should state it because I think it will affect how people.
Yeah,
vote.
you need to at least give this the general substance.
The motion will be to amend plank 3.5 by striking the sentence, "We condemn bigotry as irrational and repugnant." And
there's a motion on the floor. I'll let you speak to your motion to set the meeting, not to argue for any amendment. It's just this one moment though, because I'm just pulling up my calendar. So we are looking at May 9th. Just in case you want to change your date at all, Mr. Choco, not that this makes a difference. I suppose I can miss part of the, I do have a board meeting at that time.
let's just do it on the 10th. Why would we want to purposely schedule it when the chair can't be there?
Okay.
Mr. Secretary, are you available on the 10th?
I'm not available at all next week, so I'm voting no on everything, Matt. Sorry.
Okay. Well, to be frank, I'm gonna vote no on it too.
Sunday night instead of Monday night, tonight's 5 days away.
What night is that?
Sunday, wouldn't Sunday also be 5 days? Monday would be 6.
Oh,
I'm
today's
also unavailable on Sunday evening, though I am available Sunday afternoon. Hold on,
Okay.
let me look. So today is Tuesday, so you don't count the day notices given. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yeah, Sunday would be enough notice. I'm not available in Mountain Time evening, but I am available in Mountain Time afternoon.
Here's what I want to do. I want to do it for Tuesday. That works? Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern works for you, Ms. Chair?
God, am I the pain in the ass here? It should. I have a 6 o'clock appointment in Castle Rock to interview to be on the Historical Preservation Board as a Libertarian appointee. Hopefully
Cool.
I get it. But it's for 6, but this is government. I don't know if they're any more on time, but
Well,
this is something that if
Yeah,
Mr. Brown's available, he could certainly handle.
Yeah, let's just go ahead and say Tuesday at 7 p.m. then.
Okay, so there's a motion,
7
On the-
p.m. your time.
so 9 Eastern.
Yes.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor to have a meeting on Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern. It's a special meeting with only one item on the agenda, which is to consider an amendment to Platform Plank 3.5, which would, but this would be open to any kind of amendments that anyone would make on any other proposal. Just saying, though, what Mr. Cholko's intent is his motion is going to be something at least to the effect of striking the phrase, "We condemn bigotry as irrational and Republican."
Yeah, that's going to be exactly.
Every time I say "and Republican," it's a slip of the tongue every single time. But that thing, so that's the motion on the floor. Did you want to speak to your motion, Mr. Cholko?
I want to bring the motion forward on behalf of Virginia Libertarian. So, I've committed to doing that. So I'm trying my best to keep my word to my state party members.
Thank you, Mr. Cholko. Mr. Dempsey, you had your hand up and then removed it. Did you wish to speak?
Yeah, I did. I just was going to ask for a point of inquiry as to what the purpose of it was, and he just answered that because I think, well, my opinion is we're in the 11th hour here. We're in the 13th hour trying to get this thing in. I was really hoping to expedite this, but I don't really see the need to have another meeting. But
this should not. My intention is not to impact the report.
Yeah, it would not impact the report. It would be a supplement to the report, which Mr. Cholko would be responsible to making sure got distributed to the delegates if I couldn't get it slipped into as a supplement to our printed report, but I think I can. I don't think the bylaws report will be in by then. Mr. Ricuro probably could speak more to that, but I don't think it will be. And even then we probably have a few days after that to sneak in any supplements or minority reports or anything like that. But if in the case we have a meeting, something passes and the Convention Oversight Committee says too bad, so sad, then as I said earlier, Mr. Cholko would be responsible for making copies of it and getting it on to delegates, onto the delegate chairs or tables or however the convention floor looks like. Mr. Brungart.
I'd like to move to adjourn.
There's a pending motion. Hold on, you're going to make me look something up. I doubt anything's changed between the 11th and the 12th. The 12th is packed in my luggage right now. 1 second, because adjourn has all these different forms that I don't have memorized. I have kind of like a brain. Okay,
Yeah, I don't-
adjourn case in ordinary societies in order when another has floor. No, must be seconded. Yes, debatable. Doesn't say if it's interruptible, like. I don't know if that's in order when there's a pending motion. So I need to, you guys have to give me a minute. I would suggest, Mr. Brungart, it probably would be faster just to go to a vote on the motion on the floor, but you have every right to.
I'll retract.
Okay, thank you very much. And I'll look this up and let the committee know the answer to this just for their future edification. I know there's objection to Mr. Cholko's motion. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak before we move to a vote? Okay, hearing no more desire to speak. Mr. Secretary, when you can, if you would do the roll call.
Yeah, let me put down my Roberts. It's a good question. All right, we're gonna start with Mr. Brayman.
Nay.
Okay, Ted Brown,
Nay.
Joe Brunhart,
No.
Matt Choco,
No.
John Hick. Oh wait, no, Washington is not here. Sean Dempsey,
Abstain.
Ken Matz.
Aye.
Okay, Carolyn Cliff
No.
and Omar Recur will vote no. Clayton Cachado
Abstain.
and Curry Taylor,
No.
John Thompson.
Abstain.
Okay, did I
Hey,
miss anyone?
Mr. Secretary,
Yes.
can I change my vote to an aye?
Yeah, I was just asking if I missed anyone. So yeah, we haven't called the vote yet. So
Thank you.
okay, if I didn't miss anyone, I'm gonna put this on the screen right now. May 3rd, platform votes yes. Madam Chair, I'm showing 2 in favor, 6 opposed, 3 expressed abstentions at 9:54.
Okay, so the motion fails. Is there any other motions which may be in order? If not, we are going to be adjourning this meeting as orders for the day. I'm just giving a moment for anyone to raise their hand, and Thursday's meeting is hereby canceled as agreed upon before. Okay, seeing none, we are adjourned at, well, it's 7:55 Mountain, at 2 hours for Eastern, 9:55. And I will work on putting this report in its final form and sending the final copy onto the list and off to the Convention Oversight Committee. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yay, congratulations. Thanks.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Y'all have a good night. Bye-bye.
Hey,
Thanks.
everyone, I'm going to shoot out a request for co-sponsors for an email ballot for that change to 3.5. Frankly, I don't support it. If there's anybody that does support it, I would appreciate that person sponsoring the motion and maybe speaking to it. So I'm just going to float it out there, to hold up my, to do my job right by Virginia Libertarians, but it would be helpful if somebody supports the motion could actually, make some arguments in favor of it.
I do, but I'm an alternate.
I
So
think you can still, argue in favor of it.
Yeah, he can't sponsor it, but he can argue in favor of it.
Anyway, it'll be on the list here, probably shortly, or certainly by tomorrow.
And since I know the Colorado group set, or whatever you want to call it, do work in tandem, Clayton can certainly ask Mr. Seebeck to consider sponsoring it. Okay, thank you, everyone. Have a good night. I'm going to be ending the meeting. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks, Karen.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Karen. Great job.
thanks, guys.